Good morning, Breakfast Club family. This is Mark Stevens with your host, Joe Shoup. March the 5th, 2015. Welcome to the Breakfast Club. Hope you had a great day yesterday. Looking for a great day today. Still making progress doing some things, and Joe will bring you up to date on that. A lot of things going on. A lot of things are going to go on, but we have to just be ready for it. So we're going to go ahead and get our day started, and we'll move right ahead. How you doing, Joe?
Morning, Mark. How are you?
I am fantastic and amazing. Ready to go.
Well, just to bring you up to date a little bit before we get to the talking points, we'll talk about this. We are changing out videos in a couple of the sites, and the previously 12-week financial freedom plan website for our marketing system, now called AdTech Gold. So if you have a marketing system with Tools Rock, you need to go into your back office at Tools Rock and click on websites, unlock. Well, first of all, go to the training room. I sent this letter out. You go to the training room and you'll see the password for the AdTech Gold and how to unlock that site. Then there are a couple more autoresponders in there, and let me just give you an instruction on one of the autoresponders that has to do with USA Lead Club. Don't download that one. If you're already using it, that's fine, and you already have leads in that particular autoresponder. Unless you want to stop them, I guess let it run, but I think I'm going to take that one down. There's only one difference, and it's in a paragraph, so I'm not worried about that. Other than that, that thing is pretty much set up. We're going to be changing some things out in the follow-up letters today, but that's it. So, with that, that's pretty much set up. We are still reviewing follow-up letters and making sure our videos work. And the good news is, Mark, I'm getting responses and interviews to schedule. It's funny because, well, I'll talk about this a little bit later, but we're getting responses, and I have interviews today with people who have gotten their 6th letter. They say people don't pay attention until 7, but I'm getting interview requests now, even though we don't call it. We changed that button to get more information or something like that. What does that say on there now? Do you remember? It doesn't say schedule your interview on the little tab anymore. It says get detailed information. I think that's what it says.
Yes. Yes.
And I have a scheduled interview. I got letters yesterday with people wanting to schedule interviews, which is very cool. So, we're working diligently at that and putting the leads in and working through it. And one of the things I'm doing, Mark, with the USA Lead Club is changing out the instead of sending them in the letter. That's the difference. And the autoresponder letters is what determines what is said, which one you select. So generally, they all say, I'd like to speak with you about managing a business from home with my company, and basically that's the theme of it. So that's the message that they get. But as far as what autorespond, what website you send them to has to do, it's built into the autoresponder, so you need to look at that, your letters, so you can see that. So right now I am sending them, the new set of leads are going into sending them to the AdTech Gold right now. We're testing that one now to see what response we get. The other one came from the business presentation, the other responses, the interviews, so that's pretty cool. Well, look, we'll get right down to this. Are you are making sense when you're talking to people, when you're sending them information? Are you making sense? And that has all to do with understanding who you are, what terminology you use and how you conduct yourself. And I hear so many people out there just telling people, just call them and, get them on with me and so on. I mean, that's the theme throughout the industry, including this company, without any real direction on what to say when someone asks them a question, how to answer those questions. That's the biggest fear. So are you making sense? Because if you're not prepared, you're probably not making any sense, because you sound like you don't know what you're doing, which is why you would be afraid to pick up the phone in the first place. And so I hear that. I mean, I'm still hearing people sending me emails and saying, their upline says this, and how do I deal with that? And my answer is get in the class. Just get in the class, and you won't have to worry about that. Learn how to say it, how to answer the question, how to use the techniques that are taught in that class. Little techniques that keep you on track. When you learn those things, phone worries disappear. And it's there in that class that you learn how to make sense, because you're understanding who you are. So that's really, really, really important. And so getting to that class, getting to your upline, finding the people who know how to do that three-way for you. But you won't even understand that unless you've been in the class. And how you get to that class is you send an email and request to be in that class, and we schedule it for you. Now, yesterday I said I would give you an update, and here is the update. I'm redoing that class, retaping it, so that, so that it's, some of the scripts and things are totally up to date in there. When you take the class, you get an outline after the first class, and everything is up to date there. Sometimes some of the things mentioned in the class have a little bit different flavor to them when it comes to the script. A few things have changed with the company since I recorded that class. So I'm recording it again. So that is the memo today, Mark, is that, that theme of, are you making sense? And I know that you talk about that all the time. So the terminology that you use creates a perception, and it better make sense. So you better know what you're doing when you're involved in any company in this industry. You just better know your business. And that is the memo today.
Very, very true, because, again, if you're not giving the proper perception, then you may lose the person that you just bring in. And again, we keep saying those first 48 hours, that first week, that first month, and then that 3 months, all of that ties in. Because I am finding today that there are some gurus that are starting to change their tune, because I guess they're learning that what they've been saying for the last 30, 40, 50 years is not working, and they're not getting their money like they were getting it, and they're trying to figure out why. And now they're starting to learn that, well, you know what? Things have changed. I need to change too. And some of them are starting to talk differently from some of the emails that I get these days. They're starting to talk differently, and they're starting to talk like us, Joe. That's the amazing part.
Well, I think the answer to that is they better.
Yes, I agree.
They better, because it doesn't work the other way, and the statistics show that it doesn't work. And for those that really want to make a change, because you have to want to make the change, we have uplines that don't want to make that change, and maybe because at this point, they start making money. Mark, speaking of uplines, let me ask you a question. This is off the wall a little bit, but I'm going to throw this at you. I'm going to ask you a question. If you called me and you said, Joe, at 2 o'clock today, can you do a three-way presentation for me? And I said, sure, no problem. I'm available. Just, call me at that time. I'll be ready. You want to call me a few minutes before you make the call? Good. This is what I would want you to do. Call me and say, okay, I'm going to make that call. So are you still ready? Yep, I'm ready. Okay, just verify it. Kind of like verifying your appointment at a doctor's office. We're ready to go. So I wait for your call. And you introduce me to that person. And we get it done. And after the call that night, I get a phone call from that person. And they tell me, listen, we talked today with Mark Stevens, and it's Cecil's guy, whatever. And but Joe, listen, I really want to work in your group. I like what you said today, and I don't want to work under Mark. I want to work with you. And because if I don't, I'm not coming in unless I'm coming with you. And I say, well, okay, no problem. Here, why don't you just go sign up over here? Here's my ID number. Go ahead and, you know what? We'll just go from there. So let's say a couple of months roll by and you discover I did that. How would you feel about me?
I wouldn't trust you anymore.
Really?
Just hearing what you're saying makes me want to throw up.
Even if we were partners here on the Breakfast Club, even if we talked every day,
doesn't matter, because it's like as I said, and this is how I work, and that's exactly what I would tell that person in the first place. That this is how I work, and if they don't want to do that, then they have to go somewhere else, because I'm not doing it.
What do you expect me to do if a person called? What would be the protocol if someone called me and that's what they did after talking? They don't want to work with you. Maybe it was Cecil's or Brian's or somebody's person, and maybe you introduced me to him because Brian wasn't around, and you said, Joe, I got this guy. It's Brian's guy, da-da-da-da-da. And he called me and said, listen, I really like Mark and I like you, Joe, but I'm not working under Brian. I'm going to go direct to you. So to avoid losing that guy, I take him front line, put him somewhere else away from you and Brian. So how you're obviously not going to feel good about that, right?
Definitely not. No.
So what would you want me to do when that happens? What would be the protocol? How, as partners, as friends? Remember the thing that I said, and I say that is probably on my Skype page. Not only do you have to do what's right for the consumer, you have to do what's right for the people around you, because in business your reputation is everything. What happens to my reputation? And what would you want me to do when that person called me and said, look, I'm not going to do that?
Well,
I'll go with you, Joe, or I'll go somewhere else, but I'm not going to go under Brian.
Then like I said, first of all, it wouldn't happen with me, and then I actually would send you back to Brian. I say, you need to go and talk to Brian, because he has a right to know why. But I still would not do it. Even if Brian said it was okay, Joe, I still would not do it. Because you know what it does? It's a bad reflection on you, and also it actually shows how you really work when you say, well, this is not the way I work, or this is the way that I work. It only takes one time. And again, you got to remember, you got to do right by your customer. You got to do right by the people around you. Even if I got permission, I don't want to do it, because to me it sets a precedent, and it's a bad precedent.
What if it was a big player, Mark? What if this was a really, really big player?
I don't care if it was President Obama. The answer is no. No, no, no. Not with me. Not with me.
So, all right, let me ask you another question. I think this is important as well. I have a feeling you'll tell me the same thing. So if my spouse wanted to come in the company, and or let's say your spouse wanted to come in the company, but heard, I don't know, my upline or me say some things. I met your wife, I knew your wife, and I said, listen, here's what we're going to do, Mark. Let's put your wife under me. I know that Brian sponsored you, but I'm going to sponsor your wife. I'll sponsor her. And then any business you have and she has, we'll put it all under me instead of where it belongs under Brian, because I'm going to build a team over here and you can be part of that. Now you can have two positions, one under you and then one under me. And then, you know what? Nobody will really know. We'll just move your wife's business and anything you have under your wife, and we'll build that one real strong. How you feel about that one?
That's even worse. Because first of all, eventually it's going to come out. And you didn't tell me, or that happens, I would not even put a person on a three-way with you, period. Ever. Again, ever.
So I want to know in a chat room, the people that are listening, how many of you would go along with either one of those situations if they were presented to you? How would you feel about it if it happened? Would you do either one of those? Would you let Mark's wife go under somewhere else and then tell Mark, hey, I want you to come with me. I'm building a vicious team over here. It's going to be fantastic. But you know what? It won't be under Brian, Mark's sponsor. It's all going to go over here. And then Mark will put all his business over here too, since he has two positions. He'll put it over there. And Brian won't get any more rewards. He'll get what he's gotten so far, but no more. And we'll just build it up over here. How many of you would do that?
Well, Joe, here's another thing. You can get money, but you can't get a good name back. It's the hardest thing to do.
I used to say I used to box, as some people know, and way back in time. And I used to say, you know what? Physically, you can hurt me. And I think tomorrow we could probably still be friends if we shook hands and said we had a disagreement, we went at it with each other. But if you run around telling everybody bad things about me, you can't repair that, just what you just said. So physically, yep, you can hurt me, I can get over it. But I'm never going to be able to get over it if you hurt my name. So I want you to be aware that here at the Breakfast Club, the education is not just in talking to your prospect, but dealing with your fellow business partners. Mark's not just my business partner. Because Mark is, Brian is, Cecil is, and their entire group. They're my partners too. And if Mark brought a three-way to me and I heard from those people and said, I don't want to work under Brian or Cecil, I want to work with you directly, I won't do it. So if you don't sign me up, I'm going to find another spot in Karatbars. I'm going to tell them, go find another. Well, first thing I'm going to tell them is you need to call Mark right now, because I'm going to tell Mark what just transpired. I'm going to let him know what has just taken place. So either you call him, he's going to know anyway. This isn't a threat. I am telling him when we're done here what is 10, and I suggest that you call and straighten out whatever the problem is. And if you decide not to be with Mark, you cannot come with me. And I don't care if you're bringing 10,000 people with you. You're not coming with me. I'm not even asking Mark, is it okay, Mark? I'll split the money with you. I'll do this. No, I'm going to stand behind the fact that Mark brought that person to me. That is the connection. And that connection to me wouldn't have happened without Mark. Now, had you come to me through someone else and said to me, I know Mark, they never told me about it, then I got a different story.
Joe, I've had it presented to me about 3 or 4 times already.
In Karatbars?
In Karatbars. And I said, no, this is how I work. Go somewhere else. That's not me. I don't work that way. And then I know that, I tell you what, I know this about Cecil Brown. Well, they may say, well, Mark, you know how we are. Don't worry about that. Go ahead and sign a person up. Well, I still wouldn't do it, even with their permission, because that's the respect that I have for them. If you're not good enough to work with them, you're not good enough to work with me, because I am them. They are me. That's the way I work. Like I say, Shakespeare said most of the things he said I don't like, but what he was talking about, what's in a name? That a rose wouldn't smell as sweet, something like that. He said a name is so very important. Your name is your birthright. I never sell my birthright, and I never buy somebody else's. Simple as that.
Well, Mark, why don't you read some of the comments in there about what I just said, what I asked.
Okay, Cecil says a good name is better than conquering a city, more precious than gold and silver.
Sorry about that. Did you hear that?
I'll say it again. Cecil Piper says a good name is better than conquering a city, more precious than gold or silver.
Yep.
Josiah says it must be right. It must be the right way or no way, with exclamation points. Max says, I feel though you have no education, this is a non-professional business, and that there is no way we can move forward. I hope someone else feels the same way. Uh-oh, somehow it seems like we lost Joe. If everybody else can hear me, please put in the chat box that you can hear me, because I don't hear Joe and I don't see him either, so something must have happened. So can you put in the chat box that you can hear me? I don't see anything. Okay, great. Thanks, Shelley. Okay. Okay, Joe is back now. See him coming back in. You back, Joe?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, now we can hear you. I can hear you. Anybody else?
Yeah.
Put in the chat box so you can hear.
Had a problem. Yep, I'm okay now.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I did not hear a word that you said other than what Josiah said. After that, I didn't hear anything.
Okay, let me go back. Let me go back and find it.
While you're looking for that, let me say something. The reason I got a little messed up is I thought I went to a different browser and checked something out, but someone put in there that the video doesn't work on the AdTech Gold, and it's apparently your browser because it works on everybody else's. I was checking that. It works on mine. The video does work. It's there, so no one else has made that complaint. So double check it, and it's your browser, whoever. I think that was Wally, but it does work, so that's what I was checking.
Okay, let's start back at the top again. Let me see. Okay, Cecil Piper says a good name is better than conquering a city, more precious than gold or silver. Max Guandano says, I feel as though you have no education. This is a non-professional business, and there is no way we can move forward. I hope someone else feels the same way.
Hey, Mark, you know the other day when you said you couldn't see the attendees and all that stuff, I can't see that chart anymore. It's okay. I can actually stop the broadcast when we're ready, but I can't see anything else, so I can't go to the chat or anything like that if you're going to control that. But look, here's the reason I brought this up, because that is what is happening to a few people, including me. That happened to me, and we have done an investigation and found some things out. And we have an important message to reveal, and I'm going to invite some people onto the call to deal with that in front of everybody. So we made that decision that we're going to do that. I doubt that they'll show up, but won't you be surprised to see who's doing that and doing that to your team, possibly doing that to your team. They did exactly what I said. Brought some major players to them, got a phone call and said, no, I'm not working in that group over there. I'll work with you. And they took the people and also turned a spouse loose, put a spouse front line. And we have now the documentation that shows what they did. Took us a few months to get it, but we have that documentation, the proof of what they did and how they did it. I know this sounds negative today, but the point is it has to make sense. And not just in your dialogue with your prospect to bring your prospect aboard. It's about the people around you. You wouldn't trust me if you heard that was me. I suspect that you would not be here listening to me, Mark, or any of us if you found out that that's how we operated. But if you hide behind your happy, jolly, wonderful personality and behind the scenes you're robbing banks, I don't think people would trust you. So, people will ask who it is, how's it happening, and I can tell you, you're going to know. So, some people on this call know what I'm talking about because it affected an entire downline. Anyway, I wanted to ask that to see who was truthful, Mark, and who wanted to follow a pattern of behavior that says, I'm honest. I do what's right for the consumer because I tell them the right thing about gold. I tell them that I'm a manager in training and that I'm learning how to operate a business as well. I don't sit there and tell them, yes, I'm making all that money and hide it from them or say, well, I'm not, but my upline is. No, I'm learning how to do it. And yes, there are people who are achieving that. And that's where I'm heading. If you don't have that stance, and you're behind and behind your words is untruth. You can't make it here, or any company for that matter. And if you're not being honest to the people around you, yeah, you might make it for a while and you may go the rest of your life, but somehow, some way, that will come back to haunt you. The truth is what's important. You don't have to tell all you know by telling the truth. That's something I learned from my mentor and minister. You don't have to blab everything you know at a certain point. You have to tell the truth. Know your job as not only as a prospector, but as a partner with the people around you. We're seeing politicians getting caught in lies now all over. Of course, that's been happening for centuries. And this stuff is going to happen to people. And I hope they are listening to this broadcast today. I hope it gets out there where they hear this and get a little nervous. Because I've about had it with that, Mark. With that stuff in this business, all the way around. It happens everywhere. I know that. That's because you get people who don't operate with a principle that says, I will do the right thing. They'll hide behind their faith. Hide behind their title or their income. But the truth is, they're not doing and saying and being truthful. So people need to know so it doesn't happen to them. And that's why I think it's important to handle this situation, Mark, because people are probably getting hurt outside of me and you. Because this hurt both of us. So this is something I don't want to dwell on every day, but it is something to be aware of. Make sure that the person you're taking your three-way to is someone trustworthy and follow up on what happened to those people. Because what happened to us was someone who didn't do those things, who had the opportunity to call and say, Joe, that person is having troubles in your organization. They don't want to be there. They don't want to be under so-and-so. So I told them they can't come in with me either. Instead, they took them front line. Instead, they found a way to move spouses around to make more money, because that was the bottom line. Why else would you do it, Mark? If it wasn't about money, why else would you do it? Yeah. To be nice to a brand new person? To be nice to a brand new person instead of the partner you've been with for a couple of years? Anyway, that's my thought of the day, because it's coming down to the revelations very soon.
Yeah, well,
the websites are doing well. If you're having trouble with your websites, it's probably your browser. The videos are a couple videos that one of them's being inserted tonight on the AdTech Gold site. It's on the plan page, and there's a video missing that we just inserted today. And that'll be there tonight as soon as the program, maybe even now, the programmer's getting to it. Hopefully they've gotten it now. And we're good to go. But we're getting results now, Mark, which is really, really important. I'm excited about the couple interviews I have today. And people that have gone through the system, been back over the site 3 times, clicked back in, clicked back in, clicked back in, and said, okay, scheduling an interview. Pretty cool.
Great.
So with the activity that I'm doing, I know that once a month is easy to attain. Get a new person once a month. How do you feel about that? Get one a month. Get it the first week, first month, whatever, and then have your team do exactly the same. Don't stress. Teach them how to communicate, how to effectively pick up the phone and tell your story. It has to make sense to the listener. Terminology, perception. In other words, the terminology you use creates a perception. And that perception better make sense on the other end to the consumer, to the prospect. It better make sense to them, or you will lose them. So, hope you have a wonderful day today, everybody. And I know this one part of this talk created some curiosity, which is what it was intended to do. Not really. It's just to warn you. Work with the people around you that you like. That's what Safford always taught us. Who do you work with? You work with people that you like, that you want to be with every day. Find out who they are and work with them. Over to you, my friend.
Okay. Well, I'll kind of close with this, Joe, because it's very important. You know, it's written that you should know the truth, and the truth will make you free. But I always say this: it's the truth that you know that makes you free, because everything everybody says is not the truth. That's point number 1. Point number 2 is simply this: do it right the first time. You just have to. You have to do it. You have to do it that way, because you know, if you rob Peter to pay Paul, if you keep doing that, after a while you'll owe all the apostles. That ain't not a good thing. So think about that. You know, family, let's do it right the first time. Let's communicate properly. You know, let's do the 3 ways properly. Let's do everything right the first time. And the way to get it right the first time is get the education to do it and practice it. That's all I can tell you. And again, if money is worth more than your name, then you don't have much, and you won't have much. Because you can have the money today and it's gone tomorrow, but your name, guess what? You got to keep walking this planet. And if you're walking it with a bad name, that's not a good thing. It doesn't matter how much money you have. People hate people with money anyway, you know, because they don't have it. But when you get it the wrong way, I always say this also too, Joe. Bad money don't spend good. Bad money don't spend good. So, peace and blessings, everybody. Go out and make it a great day. I don't know about y'all, but I'm happy. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to have a family like y'all, and I'm happy to help. And I'm happy to help somebody else because I know in the end it helps me. And that's why I prefer to make a loving as opposed to making a living. Because if you make a loving as opposed to making a living, the money will hunt you down. So with that being said, peace and blessings to you. Go out and make it a great day. Help somebody change their life, their career, city, state, county, country, and most of all, let's do something for this world to bring more joy, to bring more financial freedom, more time freedom. But let's first let the change be in us that we want to see in the world. So go out and make it a great day. Peace and blessings to you. We will see you back here tomorrow morning on the Breakfast Club. Make it a great day, everybody.